Tight end is the most fickle position for fantasy football. Every week on any given Sunday, about 3 to 5 tight ends are worth it for our fantasy football lineups. The rest of them are fighting for the scraps, and it's every single week. If we're lucky, maybe 8 of them are worth it, versus the other positions where it's about 20 wide receivers, 15 to 20 running backs or so, and the rest are fighting for the scraps. Here, it's barely any tight ends, but we've got to strategize around the tight end position because those tight ends who consistently go off change the game in our fantasy leagues. Right now, Evan Engram's looking like he's not playing this week. He could be in, he could be out, but he's on the injury report not practicing. Everybody's looking at Brenton Strange as a pickup. We're going to talk about Brenton Strange. We're going to deep dive him. But I also want to talk about the tight end position as a whole to strategize around that when we look at these tight ends. I do this a lot, but I really want to go deep on the tight end position to really go on the macro standpoint of what to do. But before we dig in, you need to click that subscribe button because we're doing these deep dives every day, multiple players a day, so you can get the information you need to set your lineups, make those pickups, and whatever you need to do. Click that button, stop missing out. But it looks like Evan Engram's out. It looks like he's not going to play. Could be in, could be wrong, but he's not practicing. He was out last week. He might not be in this week, and everybody's asking about Brenton Strange. There's a lot of questions about him. Saw 6 targets last week, 3 balls, 65 yards. Not bad considering it was the Evan Engram show and he came in and got some workload in a weird game script against the Browns. Now we're on the road to Buffalo, so it's going to be another fun one to watch, at least for that game. And at Penn State wasn't massively productive. Production was not an indicator to any success at the NFL level, but he is highly athletic for the tight end spot. We got good burst, we got good speed, so we can get open, create separation. We were drafted in 2023, so we're in our second year, so we had some time to develop. We have draft capital behind us. We were drafted in the second round. That being said, he's developed a little bit into the system. We got some experience here, and he is a guy with some upside. He flashes in practice a lot, especially in training camp last year and this year. He's a guy to pay attention to. And you're looking at the targets in his offense, and it's really just flowing everywhere. Gabe Davis has 10 targets on the season. Brian Thomas Jr. is the guy who's really standing out because he's really bringing in those deep targets. But Brenton Strange right now, 3rd on the team in targets, tied with Christian Kirk due to last week and some that trickled in, but 15% target share is getting volume, and that's what everybody's looking at, especially with Evan Engram out. But Brenton Strange has some upside in this offense due to the fast-paced nature of the Jaguars, so that's something you want to look at. And you're looking at what he's doing out there. Last week he ran 26 routes, a 72.2% route participation rate, so that's very good. That is very good for a tight end, because if you're running routes, you're getting opportunities. Running routes is an opportunity because you can't get a target without running a route, and you can't catch a ball without getting a target. So you got to be running routes out there. He got 26 of them last week. So if Engram's out, he's going to be running a lot of routes this week, probably around 70 to 75%, maybe even more. Maybe they want to get him out there because he has some good size-adjusted athleticism. And if you're taking the top off with Brian Thomas Jr. and you got a tight end like this who can move underneath, he's probably going to get open in some series. The Jacksonville Jaguars is top 5 in pace of play, neutral game script. They want to be a fast-paced team. They're one of the fastest-paced teams last year, and it's rolling into this year, and they just want to reel off a lot of plays. They want to keep things moving. They want to keep the defense on their heels, which means more plays ran, means more opportunities for those wide receivers, for the tight ends, for the running backs. We've been in some weird game scripts where it was a little bit slower, but neutral game script, it shows the team's hand and what they want to do when the game is tight. Jacksonville wants to be a fast-paced team, so if this is a tight game that's high scoring, they're going to run a lot of plays. They're going to throw the ball a little bit more than what they've been doing because they've shown that in the past. They're also down at running back. Tank Bigsby dealing with his shoulder. You might see more targets in this matchup if the game script breaks, which it could, because Vegas is right there down the center with a 45.5 over-under. So they're not pushing 50 with this matchup, even though you got a fast-paced team with a Bills team that could throw the ball, even though they've been slower the first 2 games of the season. And they're not down to the 40 38 range of the over-under. Vegas is right down the middle, which is also an indicator that this game could break either way. But if the Jaguars can run at fast pace and the Bills start throwing the ball to keep up with that, if the Jaguars can get ahead, we might get a game script that breaks, but it also could be a game script that goes the other way due to the Bills wanting to run the ball with James Cook. They've shown that in the last 2 matchups. They came out week 1 running it a lot. They ran a lot last week. That could be happening again. But if the Jaguars shut that down, this could be a game script that breaks. This one could be one that breaks open. We could get some scoring here. So it's something to pay attention to. And you're looking at the Bills versus tight ends. Not looking too good, but also those game scripts were weird. The Bills only threw like 4 passes in the first half against Arizona. That Dolphins game, they were able to lean on the run a little bit more. So we're really not seeing the true Buffalo Bills yet because they have not been pushed in a game script yet. It's always just been weird in their matchups. So it's something to pay attention to. Teams are probably going to end up throwing on them to test them out more, and we're going to see some game scripts blow up because when the game script starts getting dicey, Josh Allen loves to throw those deep balls. Now we're looking at fantasy scoring from week 1 for the tight end position. This is PPR as well. In tight end 6, Chigakonkwo scored 9.5 PPR fantasy points. That's only like 4 points away from being tight end 20. Really, when you scheme this up and you look at it this way, you really want to just shoot for upside, and if you fail, you're only going to be a few points away from a tight end 1. Same thing as last week. Tight end 6 scored 11.3, tight end 9, 9.5, tight end 18, 5.9, just a few points away. You go back and look at last year, it's like that damn near every week, and that's what the tight end position does. So when you're playing the tight end position, you either want those top tier guys, they're going to fall off a few weeks here and there, but they're going to be consistent and they'll get you those upside games. Or you want to play the matchup, look at those situations and look at those tight ends who are running a lot of routes, getting opportunity, and just pray that they hit. And if they don't, they're probably going to score enough fantasy points where they're not too far off from being a tight end 1 anyways. That's just how the tight end position works. Really, it's a gamble unless you got a guy like George Kittle, Hunter Henry, Trey McBride, one of those guys who are running a lot of routes. Brenton Strange, though, might push to 70-80% of the routes in this game, might be getting more opportunity. So we really need a game script to break, because if it breaks, that means more plays ran, more routes ran, which means more potential to catching passes and scoring touchdowns. Something to pay attention to in this matchup. And I think there's a 50% chance that this game script could break the other way. That's why Vegas is in the middle of that. And you're looking at the rankings. He's ranked as the tight end 16. And 4for4 is saying that he's in a decent matchup, which I think so, because it is a matchup that could break. It is a game script that could go their way where they got to throw it a little bit more, something to pay attention to. And you're looking at all the other tight ends there. It's coin flips. The tight end position is a coin flip position unless you got one of the top guys like a Mark Andrews, Kyle Pitts, one of those guys running a lot of routes, getting a lot of opportunities. That's just how the game is played. But he is running a lot of routes right now with Evan Engram out, so he is going to get opportunities underneath, especially with Brian Thomas Jr. there to stretch the defense. So whether or not to start him is going to be on whether or not what you got. If I got one of the top tier guys there and I feel good with that guy every single week, I'm not even looking at Brenton Strange. If I'm in a deeper league, or if I'm hurting a tight end, or if I'm streaming tight end, I think this is an alright matchup, but really it's a coin flip. You're not going to really be able to guess the production. So if you're good at tight end, you don't need them. You do not need to double up at tight end. Honestly, with what we're seeing at tight end, what I just showed you, that is more proof that you do not need to double up at tight end, because if your main tight end breaks or gets injured, then you just stream tight end and you just hope you hit the upside that week. And if you don't, you're not that far off from one of the top tight ends anyways. And you need a tight end right now. You like the matchup. You're picking him up. He is running a lot of routes. He is seeing some targets recently. So that's something you can look at for Brenton Strange. And then after that, you just got to see if it pays off, because the workload is there. If Evan Ingram's out, I can tell you that the workload is going to be there. He is going to run routes, and that's going to equate to some targets, and that's going to equate to opportunity. So Brenton Strange does have some upside in this matchup. The upside is if the game script breaks, they got to throw a little bit more. Jacksonville's fast-paced. If they're fast-paced, if the Bills can't get the run game going, then this could be a fun game script to watch. It could also go the other way if a few things don't work out in the beginning of the game, causing the Bills to get up, causing them to run the football, causing them to drain clock. That could be a thorn in our side as well. But again, it's always going to be a coin flip in these scenarios with the tight ends who are not considered the top 3 or 5 every single week. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. One thing for watching. Catch you on the next video.